Hello, welcome to this technical webinar on BioTime 8. We're gonna start already because of course, everybody is already in. So let me first tell you how this webinar is going to be done. First, I'm going to make the explanation on BioTime 8, the installation and the configuration procedure. And well, this will take about, suppose, 1 hour and 1 hour and a half, most of it. We're not going to be able to explain all the casualties, all the situations of configuration that we're gonna have, but that's why we're gonna make this technical webinar on how to do a simple configuration, and afterwards we will leave some time for you to be able to make some questions on what is explained on the webinar, or some situations that you wanna for me to be more specific about it. And well, I suppose it will be useful. Also, this webinar will be available to be viewed afterwards in our usual channels, and you will be able to check it later. Also, for the people that is not inside, will be able to view it afterwards. So don't worry, you will have all the things we're gonna have. So let's start. Well, I suppose everybody's watching me. Everybody can hear me loud and clear. And well, let's start by installing. Show you the installation procedure of BioTime 8. As you can see, well, this is my computer. I suppose you are all seeing my screen. And well, I cannot install in my computer directly, but I have here a computer which I'm going to install the software. First of all, well, where can we download the software? We have the BioTime 8. We have it in our website, ZKTeco.eu. Here we're gonna find, well, first of all, sorry, I didn't say, have a great welcome to all the people that come from the West African region. This webinar has been managed and has been set up by the Europe office of ZKTeco, and also by the West African ZKTeco office. And we have a great welcome, warm welcome to all the people coming from that region. Okay, so here, as I said, here we're gonna search for BioTime. And here I have the page on BioTime 8. Here I have the downloads, and here I have the latest version, which I can download. Here I have the download link. I can download freely. And with the installation of BioTime 8, I have 60 days on trial version, which we can install freely. As soon as we click it, the RAR file of the installation is going to be downloaded. I'm going to cancel it because I already have it, of course. Let's cancel the install. And here I have in my computer, I have already downloaded. Here is the version, the setup. You can set up, and here the installation will start. Okay. Also, well, I need administrator rights to be able to install. I'm going to select to install it in English so everybody understands the installation procedure. Start. Well, here is the end user agreement, which I have already read. I leave it so you can read it. It is quite important, if you can, to install it at the same time as I am explaining the software. Okay, so you can check the installation. Also, I have here with me a device which we will use to see how to sync one device or any devices to BioTime 8. Okay, so I click on agree. Here first I have the installation directory. It's going to be BioTime by default. We can change it. So the only thing that we need to have is to be sure that we have the rights to install in this directory. Or next, and here is the first thing that we need to know, no? that is important. The service port in which we are going to install BioTime 8. By default, the port that is installed BioTime 8 is port 80, but we don't recommend to leave it on the default. It's recommended to use a different port. Usually I use whichever port starting with 80, but you can choose any port, making sure that it's not conflicting with another port, another service that we may have in this server. Well, as you can see, BioTime 8 is a software that is usually installed in servers, which BioTime 8 will provide a web service in which we will be able to access from different computers. So it's not needed, not like old attendance softwares like ZKTeco or old softwares or enterprise that ZKTeco Europe already have in the past. BioTime 8 is usually installed in a server that is usually will be available to access from separate computers. Okay, so it is here. It would be also in this webinar. Let me explain. In this webinar, we will give answers to questions that our customers, our end customers will have, and also questions that maybe the sales team. Well, here I belong to the technical department, but as we already know, most of the time many questions will come from, for example, sales departments, project departments, every other department in our company. We will try to give answers. No, and the first answer is the first question that many times happen to us, or they tell to us, is it possible to access BioTime 8 via the internet? Of course, it is possible. For example, the only thing that if we need to access BioTime 8 from a separate computer, we would need to have this port available into the server. So I'm going to add a firewall exception. This would only work for the firewall exception in Windows. If we have routers or separate firewalls, we will need to manage this exception in the configuration of this separate firewall and routers. Okay, so let's click on next. The next question that the next thing that we have is the configuration of the database. As you can see, by default, the system allows us to set the database by default is PostgreSQL. But if I click on cancel here, I can select other databases. Okay, and here is another question. No, can I use any other of these databases? Yes, we can use it, but it is not really if there is not a good reason to do so, then it's better to use the default database. As you can see here, it says it's recommended to use the default encrypted database for data security. If it's not in the default database, the data will be not as secure. We will need to have this security of the database by us. Okay, so it is better if we use the default database if there is no other situation that requires us to do it in a separate database. Okay, so here by default, as I said, it uses PostgreSQL. And another question that may arise that sometimes happens is it possible that we connect to the database to extract punches or create employees through the database, maybe because there is an integration with a third-party software? Well, this is not recommended at all to do it like that, because as I said, the security of the database would be compromised in this situation. BioTime 8 provides an API in order to do so. So it is most recommended to use this API, which comes free of charge with a license. And well, as I say, it's better to use the default database for that, and use the API if we need to extract punches from the database or whatever the integration is. Okay, so it's better. Of course, there is there is the possibility that if you use an MS SQL database and we configure the details, then we will have access to this database. But this would be not as recommended, because the database has triggers, has stored procedures, and maybe if we go directly to the database, this would be not taken into account. So it's much better to use the API, as I say, in order to have the security and to extract the database with safely. No, so I'm going to cancel this. Set PostgreSQL, the default database, and it appears here. Click on next and continue. Next thing is the default database backup path. If we for the automatic backups of the database, but we're going to leave it like that, and some more images, and we click on install. Okay, so this installation takes about 5 minutes. Depends on the system that we are installing it. But usually, well, here if we go into the website for now, here I have in the specification I have the requirements of the installation. As you can see, the most important thing is that we need a 64-bit operating system like Windows, 64, 7, 8, 8.1, 10, server, whatever. Okay, that is because the amount of memory available needs to be 4 gigabytes, and of course, this only works with 64-bit systems. Okay. Also, as the installation continues, let me explain, because how the communication from the devices to BioTime 8 works. The communication from the devices uses what we call the push SDK protocol. This protocol is the protocol that we are using in our devices by default, and the device needs to support this protocol in order to be able to connect to BioTime 8. I will show you later. There is in the website the supported devices list, but most of it is, if it's a ZMM device or ZAM, like Profaces, Speedface devices, this is are usually the devices that are allowed. Okay, so the main thing is that this protocol works as the communication is always started by the device, not by the software. So it needs the device to see this port that we configured before, 8077 in this case. And what we need to do is to make sure that the device can see this port. So if we are on a different network and we are accessing via the internet, then we need to make sure is that this, as I said, this port is available, because it is the device which will start the communication. This is quite useful, because if it's a multi-site installation, we are, for example, have the server here in Madrid, and I have offices anywhere in the world, then we do not need to know exactly the IP address or the port or the network infrastructure in which the devices are installed. We just need to make this configuration on the server. So this is quite useful, because it makes it very easy just to open the port in the server, and having the device with communication with internet connection, or via the VPN or whatever, the communication will be available. Okay, so the installation is already finishing. Here, finishes in a few moments. We will have the installation done, and we're going to be able to access the software. Okay. Also, as we are seeing in the images that are rolling in the screen, the devices, when I create a punch, will be automatically via the push SDK, the push protocol that I have already explained, will be sent automatically to the software. Okay, so or another, for example, if I have a fingerprint registration or a face registration, this face registration or fingerprint registration will be sent automatically to the software, and it will be synchronized to the rest of the devices that are in the same area. Okay, we will go again to this area concept later now when I register the device. And well, already finished the installation. Here it asks me if I want to restart the computer. I don't need it really. It is not really needed to access to be able to access the software to restart the computer. So I'm going to finish. And now, well, here as you can see, I have a link here that says BioTime. If I open it, what you see is that it is not an executable file. It's not an exe file. It is just a link to the local host, which is where the installation has been done, and the port that I have configured for the software to be available. Okay, let's wait a little bit because I want to see that the installation has been finished correctly, so I can access the system, and then we will be accessing the system. Well, as you can see here, it already appears here the screen in order to create a super user, the first user that we are going to have to install BioTime to access BioTime 8. So we're going to close it for now. This, and now what I'm going to do is to check which is the IP address here in my software. So it's 119. So now from my computer, if I open a new page, page 77, I can access the software. Okay, so as you can see, I have installed the software in one computer. I am accessing from another computer because I have access to this IP address and this port. Okay, so to create the first super user, I'm going to get a user, set up an email address in order to be able to restore if I lose the password. I'm going to create another password. It's admin123, admin123. Okay, so I'm going to confirm. And now here let me move this a little bit. I don't want to save the password. And here already I have the possibility to log in. Okay, so as you can see, I have already logged into BioTime 8. This is the dashboard screen. Let me go back again let me log out just to show you a little bit more about this login screen. Here I have the admin login, which is the super user or administrator login, or also I have this link to self-service login. This would be the login that employees would need to use in order to use BioTime 8, because BioTime 8 provides also provides an employee page, an employee portal, in order to register manual punches or register, for example, holidays or any other petition that as an employee someone would put in. Okay, so also I have the possibility to log in via the fingerprint. I would need to have a fingerprint reader connected to BioTime 8, to this computer where I am accessing BioTime 8. It needs to be one of the fingerprint readers that are available, that are provided by ZKTeco, which means are the SLK20R or the ZK9500. Well, we will need the driver. If you need it, we can provide this driver for you to download it. And here also I have the possibility to check an about screen, which is also where I'm going to make the activation. And also I have the forget password, and also to check the verify on the fingerprint scanner if it's available or not. Okay, so without telling more, I'm going to access again on login, and I have here the dashboard of BioTime. Okay, so as you can see here, what I have in the top screen, I have the access to the different modules of BioTime 8. BioTime 8 provides, separates the attendance, which is the main module of BioTime 8, but also provides a simple access control module, which of course is not as potent as dedicated access control software, which can be, for example, biosecurity, which we already have done a webinar on biosecurity, and also provides a payroll, a visitor, and a meeting module, and also an MTD module for the temperature detection, which is available on temperature detection devices. Okay, here is the system module, which we will go later in this webinar, so you can see which are the options for configuration. Okay, also here it is the icon where I can see the notifications I have. For example, I enter as an employee, I will have the option to see here if I have for example, a notification because some petition that I have done has been accepted, or whatever, or the report, etc. And here I have also the access to different part of the user. Also the access to the about screen, where I can register the device. I can license the software. The access to the API, which I already explained before, is the way in which third-party softwares will be able to be connected to BioTime 8. Also an access to the help screen, which provides access to the manual. Also to change the language. Here I have the possibility to change the language. I have several languages available in the installation, okay, which are the usual languages that we already have, but some more can be added. And also here, well, I have the possibility to change the colors and log out and to provide some feedback on the software. Okay. Also here in this screen, I have a screen in which I can see the amount of employees that are absent and present in the current day, depending on the punches that are being registered on the device. An attendance exception list of situations that in the different days that we have the late entries, early leaves, and absence. Okay, and also here, down here, I have the real-time monitor, which will show the punches that have been registered in the current, just before, in real time. So that's what is explained. As you can see now, I don't have any information because I just installed the software. So what we are going to start is to show you how to license the software. As I said, we're going to go to the about screen, and here I can see, for example, the software version, which is 8.0.4, which is the latest version that we have of BioTime 8. Here I have some information on the authorization. As you can see, it's the trial version, and the expiration date will be 60 days from now with the trial version. Also here I have the possibility to activate the license. I would normally use the online activation to do the licensing of the software. If we click here, well, it also again asks me for the administrator password. I click. I put on my software, my company information. The country in this case is Spain. An email address, which can be, well, I'm going to put some. City address, well, everything. I'm not going to put everything. And here we will select the SN file, which is the file of the license, which is the actual file of the license. This file will be need to be provided by the salesperson of ZKTeco. Okay, I don't have it here right now, but don't worry. The process is just like this. Select the file, click on active. The software will be connected to the licensing server, and if everything is okay, then the software will be licensed. Also, there's a possibility to make an offline activation if the server has not access to this licensing server, or maybe the installation is done in a server that does not have access to the internet. Okay, the procedure to do the offline activation is easy. Also, we need to do exactly the same. As you can see here, it needs that we select the license file which ends with license.xml, where we can have this license. Then what we need to do first is to download the UPK, select the SN file. This will generate an UPK file that we need to input into the ZKTeco.com page. No, if we go to ZKTeco.com in a moment, so you can see how this works. We will go to ZKTeco. This is the page. ZKTeco.eu is the page of the Europe delegation of ZKTeco. ZKTeco.com is the general website, and here I have the license activation. So what I can do here, BioTime 8 offline activation license, click here. Then what I'm going to need to log in. If you don't have an account into ZKTeco.com, you can create one for free. I have already, so I'm going to log in. So I'm going to go again into BioTime 8 offline activation software, and I need to add the SN file, that I have from the sales personnel of ZKTeco, and the UPK file that I have generated from the software. And when I click on download, then this license file will be downloaded. So it's quite easy. But if you have any doubts, here also you have an user manual that you can download that explains all this procedure. Okay, need to how to download the UPK, generate a browser to the file, as you can see here, and then go and then add the license file, and then the software will be licensed just as if it was done by the online activation. So well, as you can see, this is quite fine. One of the questions regarding this licensing process, it is that if it is possible to license two servers with the same license. Maybe, for example, I want to change the computer. The system, the license was activated in one computer, in one server, and this computer has been substituted for another. Then what you need to contact us, give us the SN file, and we can reset the license so it's available to be installed on another server. So this is possible. What it is not possible is that to have two server license at the same time with the same license. Okay, this is not possible. The server will check on each reboot. Will check if the license is activated, and if it is, and if it is not, or if it does not, if it's not licensed on the same server, then the program will not be we will not be able to access. Okay, so this is important. We need to be aware of it. So one can have one license in one software at the same time, in one server at the same time. So let me go back to BioTime 8. Also here, as you can see, I have the possibility to download the driver. Also, BioTime 8.0.4 has the possibility to use a Palm driver and a face, well, a Palm registration device and a face registration device from the computer. This was not available on previous versions of BioTime 8. It's available on 8.0.4. That the same as the fingerprint, we can connect a Palm device to the software, a Palm device to the computer, which is the, I think it's well, you can see it in the manual, is the PA10, which is the Palm device that is available to be connected to the computer in order to register palms from the software, in order to not need to register the palms in the device. Okay, this is important. Okay, so also here I have the links to download the app. I have not said it. BioTime 8 provides a free application for administrators and employees to make punches from the app, or to select, for example, holidays and petitions, these kind of things we can access from the app. Okay, we will go to explain a little bit more of the app later. I think the whole explanation on the app, you can see it on the manual. We will not go into the very details of the app, but don't worry. it is quite easy to use. You can download it for yourself. Also, this is something that needs to be explained. As I said from the beginning on this webinar, it is not possible to explain in one webinar like this all the situations that can happen in our customers. We actually need that this is done by you, by our customers of ZKTeco. Okay, so of course we are here. You can ask us for any situation that, okay, is it possible to do this? Is it possible to do this kind of configuration? But you need to install it. You need to have the information. You need to know how BioTime 8, how the configuration is, and you need to test by yourself also if the exact situation that your customer wants is available on the software. Okay, I think most of the situations are possible to be configured, but maybe there are some exact situations that we need to adapt a little bit. Okay, don't worry. If you are not sure about some configuration exactly, you can ask us, and we will provide the answer. Okay, so let's start by the device registration. Here is where I'm going to access the device. I have already here, as you can see, the registration of the device. Well, it is not registered as for now. It's just like the device that I have here, which is a UA760. It's a device that is possible to be configured with BioTime 8. And what happens now is that the device has been already configured correctly to be pointing to my server. So if you go into the device, I cannot show you because I don't have the camera, but if you go to the menu in the device, you go into the communication settings of the device, you have a cloud server setting in which you can need to put the server address and the port. Okay, so if you put the server address of the server, as here is the IP address and the port, then the device will appear automatically on this screen. So I can actually authorize this device to be connected to BioTime 8. Okay, so this would be the best way, the best. There are several methods. If you go to the manual on BioTime 8, which is already also available here, if I go to downloads, I have here the user manual of BioTime 8. It will show you that you can do it like this, or you can add directly the device name and serial number of the software. But I don't recommend to use this way of adding a device. What I recommend is to use how it is done, to configure the cloud server setting in the device, and the device will appear automatically here. Okay, so what we need to do before registering to actually authorize the device is to create a new area. Why is that? Because by default, the software provides a default area, but this area is not authorized. We should not. Well, if we register the device to the area not authorized, the device would not work, would not send the punches, and everything would not be registered. So what we need to do is to create a new area. I'm going to create a new area which I'm calling test. Okay, so this is the area in which I'm going to register the device. Let me explain a little bit more about this area concept. The devices are registered to an area, and the employees are also registered to one area. And so only the personnel from one area will be sent to the devices of the same area. That is how, for example, if I have offices here in Madrid, another office in a different country, a different city, on a different server, or no, different server no, because everything needs to be on the same server. But if it's a different country, an office with a device in this installation, then there is no need that the personnel, that the only punches in one of the offices don't need to be on the devices of the other office. That is how we do it with the areas. Okay. Also, we can create a hierarchy on the areas. We can, for example, create an area which is Europe, and then put Madrid and other cities, and then we can have another area which is Africa, and put, for example, sub areas that are for the different countries or the different offices that our installation has. Okay, I'm going to confirm, create the area, and also we need to not to forget to first go to configurations here and set this registration device to yes. And that's how, when I register a fingerprint or a face in this device, this will be, this face or this fingerprint or card will be sent automatically to the server. Okay, we need to put this registration device to yes before starting the configuration. I'm going to click on submit. I'm going back to the device here, and now I can register my device. So device name, I'm going to click on test. Enable access control, I'm going to click on no. For the moment, this device that I have here does not have the possibility for access control. But for example, if I have a device, an iClock device, 680 or ProFace X or SpeedFace that has relay, we can set it so it uses this. We are using this device to open one door and to set the time zones exactly for this situation. Okay. Also, as I said, I'm going to register to the test area, select the time zone. This is important because if I, for example, in Europe, I don't know in some other countries, but we have daylight savings time, no, which is as for now, 15th of April, which we are in the daylight savings time. So we need to put the time zone for the device without the daylight savings time, and we need to configure the daylight savings time configuration in the device for it to work correctly. Okay, this is important. Don't put it to +2 because actually, or currently in Europe, we are in the +2 time zone because this would be the time zone with daylight savings, and then we will need to, when the daylight savings time ends, we will need to come here and modify the time zone manually. So what we need to do is to put it without the daylight savings time and make the configuration in the device. The software does not have configuration for daylight savings time. We need to do it in the device. Okay, this is important. Also set it as attendance device. Of course, it's yes. Registration device. This is the configuration I did. Yes, I did before. Let's put it onto yes. Okay, so let's confirm. The device is now registered, and now it will sync automatically. The device software does not have any employees or nothing, and the device either does not have anything. So nothing we will have nothing. Well, let me check for sure that I don't have, because maybe I forgot to. No, I don't have any users. So if I click here, well, with the right button of my mouse and click reload tab, I will see that, as you can see, there is no users, no anything onto the device. Okay, let's wait a little bit. Here I have the option also to clean the device, to clear the attendance data, clear all the captured image if the device has a camera, or clear data from the device. Also here I have the possibility to capture the employees from the device if they have been already created in the device. This is a possibility that if the devices have been connected in the office before setting up the software, maybe some people have already registered some employees in the device, and we would need to do this in order to capture these registrations that have been done into the device to have them in the software. Okay, the same with the transactions. If we have, for example, as I said, the installation of the devices have already been done in the offices, then we need, and they have already been punching in the device, then we would need to upload manually the transactions if we register the software later. Okay. Also here I can do the opposite direction to sync the data to the device. This normally would not be needed because, as I say, when I create a person and when I create an employee, it will be transferred automatically to the device. But maybe if there have been some problems in the communication, maybe this option is needed. Okay, we need to click here and the data will be synchronized to the device. Also here I have the option to reboot the device, to reread the information. And also here I have the option to enroll remotely. What does that mean, enroll remotely? Okay, so what we can do from here is that we use the device, we control from the software for the device to register one person, to register one fingerprint. I would mean if I have, for example, I create one personnel, one employee, and I don't want for anybody to go into the menus of the device, I can set it so automatically in the device will appear the screen for the employee to put his finger to register, okay, to register the fingerprint. This can only be done with fingerprints, cannot be done with faces or palms. This is important because as for now, as I said, 15th of April 2021, this option is not available. We can only register fingerprints with this option. Okay. Also, I have some information, capture setting. Well, so first, I have here the option if I have a camera, if I want to do what to do, if I want to take a photo of the person that is registering, that is punching in the device or not. And also here I have the option to upgrade the firmware, which I don't know. As I can see here that I have already the option for daylight savings time. Before we did not have this option. So if it was not available. Now in this version 8.0.4 it is available, but well, I normally use it. I do it in the device, so I have not used it for now. Okay. So here a little bit more on the device screen. Here I have the option to send public or private messages. A public message is a message that appears in the screen of the device. As you can see here, if I create a message, I can select the device in which I want to send the message, what time does it start, which is the duration, and the content of the message. And also I have the option to set private messages, which will be a message that will only be shown to a specific employee when this employee punches in the device. Okay, if I want to send a message directly to this employee, not to all of the employees that are registered in the device. Also here I have some information on the word codes. If I want to send a word code for the employees to be able to register, I don't know, smoke, doctor, whatever the situation of the word code to be able to see it in the device. And here I have information on the templates that I have registered and the photos that I have registered in the device. Here I have the option even to import biophotos. What would that mean? If I, for example, I have a face registration device, for example, a ProFace X or a SpeedFace B5L, I have the option to add the photo of the person from the computer, okay, via a file, a JPG file, then needs to be the name of the photo, must be the employee ID, and this photo will be used for the face template in the device. So it is not needed that the employee registers its photo again. Okay, this is a good functionality that we have in BioTime 8 and allows us to do this kind of things. Okay. Also, a list of transactions that I have here. For now, I don't have any. Logs of the device. Sorry for being a little bit quick. I don't want to spend too much time, and as you can see, time flies, and I don't want to make it this webinar so long. So, but here is the log files of the log of the operation log. It would mean the menu operations in the device, the errors, what has been uploaded on the device, and the commands that have been sent to the device. Okay. Also here I have the configuration on the mobile app. How this works is that, for example, if I have the mobile app and I allow for one employee to register or to punch via the app, as soon as the employee registers itself on the app, it will be saved like a device token in order for this employee to not be able to register on a different phone, okay, or on a different app. This is a security measure for people to only have to be able to register from one device. Okay, this does not mean that this is forever. We can disable this or delete this account, and the employee will be able to register again in a different device. Also here, I have the possibility to send push notifications to some employees. And here I have the option, a little bit more in this app, to send private notice and public notices to the device, same as the messages, but for the app. okay, to send public notifications to all the people that have the app installed and are registered in the system. Also, I have here the option to, well, here will be the opposite direction. The app allows also the employee to send messages that will be read here. And also I have here the operation log, but for the mobile, so the app, as I say. Also, the mobile app lets us to set up geofence in order to be able to punch only from specific locations. Okay, for example, I just want the employees to be able to punch from the app, but I only want them to be able to punch from a specific location. Then what I would do is to register a geofence, a geographical fence, imaginary fence, no? For example, I can select, for example, here, I would put a location. As you can see, for default, it appears China, but let me put, for example, Madrid, and let us change. Let's go in the map to set it in Madrid. Location, here it is. For example, I put Madrid and I confirm. I set a geofence that is called Madrid, and for example, what I would do is to add for a different employees. I would only let them register between 50 meters from the geofence that I have selected. Okay, this would mean that these people will only be able to make a punch from this area. This also can be done for departments. If I don't want to do it for specific employees, I can put for departments. If I have different departments in the company, I will show now in the personal module how this is done. We will be able to do it for the department. Here, so I have some configurations. Well, as I said, here also I have the option, well, to set the default time zone. There is registration device, if it's allowed to be uploaded from the devices and everything. And the biophoto approval policy, if the biophotos are registered on the phone. Okay, as I said before, we can register my face here in the device. Well, I can register, if I have a face registration device, I can register the face in the device. I can register the face in the software, as I showed before, into the biophoto here. And also I have the option from the app with the photo camera of my phone to register my face and to use this photograph in the devices for the identification. Okay, this is an option that we have available. Also here, well, I have the configuration of the transaction, how much time the transactions are kept in the software, and this would be all the options that we have in the device configuration. This would be, I suppose, as I said, please test it, make sure that you know everything, that how it works. And if you have any questions, you can forward us later. Of course, this is always available. Let me go now to the personal module. Here we have also the department and position configuration. This would mean to establish, it would be used to establish the hierarchy of the company, the different departments of the company, and the position, manager, etc. All the things. No? And here is where I have the employee registration module. Okay, so I'm going to add an employee. I'm going to put my name here, select a department. I have one department by default, and select the area. As you see, here is what I'm going to select the area in which this employee belongs to. So the data of this employee will also only be sent to the devices that are registered in this area. Okay, so I'm going to put it like this. This is some information that is, well, we can add it or not if we need it. Also, I have this device access settings if I want to limit, so the employees can only register or can only identify with some verify mode if the device has several verify modes available. the card number, which I can put it by numbers here with my keyboard, or if I have a card reader connected to the device to the computer, I can also register the card with this reader. Okay. Also here, I have the possibility to change the device privilege. Usually, this is important. If I don't put device privilege to anybody, what would happen? It would be that all the employees have the privilege employee, which would mean that all employees would have the possibility to access the menus of the devices. So it is important that what we need to do is to configure at least one employee as with a privilege. Usually I only use employee and super administrator. The other ones limit several options in the menu, but with employee and super administrator, I think is already good. So super administrator will have full access, full control of the device, and an employee will only have the possibility to punch in the device. So I would put a super administrator. I would put a PIN number, so the employee will only, in order to access the menu, will need to register himself with the fingerprint or to put the PIN number. And also here I have the options of attendance. The self-password would be the password that is used to access the self-service module. So in order to make manual punches in the device. Here I have also the workflow role. This we will go later, is how to set a hierarchy on the acceptance of the petitions. For example, if I am an employee and I forgot to punch in the device one morning. So I need to make a manual punch in the software. Then this manual punch would send a notification to a superior, and this superior needs to accept or deny this manual punch, or for example, a petition of a holiday. We can set workflow roles in which we set different roles. For example, if I have a manager and a CEO, maybe the manual punch needs to be accepted first by the manager, and if the manager accepts the petition, then goes to the CEO that needs to accept or denies. If it's accept, if the CEO accepts, then the manual punch is registered, and if the CEO denies, then the manual punch is denied. Okay, we would set this one. I don't have anything now. I'm going to show you now in the workflow role configuration. Also here I have, if I have the application status, if the employee has the option to use the app, and here I have some information on the payroll settings, what is the period of the payment of this employee, and some custom attributes that I can register if I need. Okay, so I click on confirm, and automatically this employee that I have already registered would be already sent to the device. And now, as I put it as super administrator, then the device requires me to register, to put the PIN number in order to access the menu. Okay, as you can see here, I don't have any templates of anything, of fingerprints or anything in this employee. So what I'm going to do, so you can see, I'm going to enter the menu, put the PIN number, the user 1, the password is 1234, as I said, access the menu and go into my employee and register my fingerprint. And what you will see automatically, okay, register my fingerprint. And now if I update, if I reload this tab, you'll see that the fingerprint has already been sent. And if there are other devices in the same installation, in the same area, then this fingerprint will be automatically sent to the rest of the devices. Okay. Also, I have here the possibility. Well, there is another option that I have not said. That is, we have the possibility to import employees from an Excel file. Here I have the possibility to import employees. I can download the template, which is an Excel file, which I have employee ID, department, and first name, and then I will be able to import this file into the software in order to, maybe I have another software which manages the human resources in my company, and I don't want to manually create all the employees again. So what I need to do is to do this. For example, create this file, fill it in, and then import it into the software. This can be done also for departments and positions, but it's usually more useful for employees. Here I also have the option to resynchronize to the device or re-upload from the device if I need. More on the employees, I have here the resigned employees. For example, if I make it so this employee is resigned, maybe I want to keep the records from this employee because I need to keep it for legal reasons, but I don't want them to appear in the employee section, only in the resign section. No? For example, if I need to do this, what I'm going to do is to transfer the employee, put it to resignation. I have here the options of the resignation, and then the employee would be sent. It will not appear here anymore and would appear under the resignation screen. Okay, this does not mean that the employee is deleted for the device. Okay, if we want to delete the employees from the device, what we need to do is to, let me reinstate again the employee. What they need to do is to transfer to an area that does not have any devices registered. So this would be how if I want to make it so the employee disappears from the device, I need to do this. I need to create an area, maybe resign the employees, do not register any devices to this area, and to transfer these employees to this area. Here in the workflow setting, here I have the workflow role, for example, as I said. For example, what I'm going to do first is to create another employee. So I have two. So I can put 2 employees. And now what I'm going to do, I need to first to create the roles. One, manager. And the second role, as I said, for example, is CEO. And then I would assign for each role different employee. And then here in the workflow builder, what I would do, for example, for employees, I can do it also for department or positions. I would see, for example, code 1, manual punch, manual log. And here I would say, okay, so this employee, well, this would not, let me create another one so I can have the full configuration. As for employee, manual log, okay, for the employee number 3. Then from today until whenever, we need to put an end date, even if it's forever, we need to put a future date. Then what I would do is that first, the employee would need to register to the manager. And then in a second step, this petition will go to the CEO. So when this employee number 3 test registers a manual log, it will go first to the manager, which we put is the employee number 1. And when this employee accepts this petition, then it will go to the second level, which is the CEO, which will be the next one to be needed to be notified and to accept this petition. Okay. So this would be, there is no questions For now, I just want to know if maybe my voice is not being heard correctly. But I suppose if nobody says nothing, it means that it is. So more on this setting. Well, this would be the type of configuration that we need to do in order to put this configuration, well, to put this workflow. No? And here also I have more the custom attributes and documents that we can register to have more details on the employee. And this would mean everything. It would be everything for this module, for the module, the personnel module. Okay, now into the attendance module. This would be the module that we need to configure in order to create an actual to a correct time and attendance setting. So what we need to do, well, here by default it comes in the what says is a pay code. This would mean the different parts of the reports. So where the different times, the amounts of times would be added. Okay, we can add more if we need to set it more. This normally would be used for the overtime. So we have here the normal pay codes. I can add more. I can also here, in order to have some difference, to change the units or to change the roundings, and if I want them to be displayed or not in the reports. Here I have the option also to select there are some that we can add, as you can see here. These are the pay codes, and I have some that we cannot modify, which are the actual times. No? For example, the durations. You will see that now here in the registration. Also, I have the possibility to add some employee groups if I want to create some attendance specific by groups, not by departments or positions. You can add groups and transfer employees to these groups. And here I have the global rules. Okay, so what I would do is to first define which are my days or weekends. I can see that there is a question. We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you, Jonathan. So here I have the everything of the weekend. Okay, so first I'm going to say that my weekend are Saturday and Sunday, which this would mean for what happens if the employee comes to work when it is not scheduled. For example, it is the weekend. In that case, no, I'm going to put which are the dates of the weekend. Here I have a rule for unscheduled days. If I want to set this work as a overtime by default or not, if I put it's an overtime, I can put, for example, the weekend, for example, from the first hour or directly for the 8th hour of work, or from the first hour, I would leave it from 0, or for example, I can put it in a combination. 0, 0 to the 8th hour, it's assigned to weekend overtime. And for example, more of 8 hours, I can want it to put it as holiday overtime from the 8th hour to the 12th hour of the day. So if the employee comes to work when it's not scheduled and he comes and only work for 3 hours, it will be assigned to this concept, weekend overtime. Okay, but if he comes and works for more than 8 hours, the first 8 hours will be assigned to weekend overtime, but the next hours, the 8th and the 12th hour, well, I cannot put more than 12 because the maximum working hours are set to 12. I can change this to, would be set to the concept holiday overtime. Also, I have here the option to when does the day changes. Usually, we will leave it to 0, 0, as we could see later. This has some option with the shifts, but we will see now how it works. I'm going to save it. Here we have the overtime rule. By default, the software will calculate overtime always based on the calculation. Okay, so for example, later we will see in the shifts, if I select a shift that goes from 9 till 6 in the afternoon, then if it works more, then automatically the time would be set to the time that exceeds this time, this time zone, this workday, will be added to overtime. Also here I can select it. Okay, I can disable it altogether. So it's disable the overtime, so that the software would not calculate overtime never. We'll leave it to calculation overtime. And if I want to also to actually not for unscheduled days, but to weekends. Well, this would be I did it here for weekend, but actually it would be better if I set it here. If I want to for weekend to select overtime, the same options work for this and what it works for the unscheduled days. I'm going to disable it for now. Here, if I want to set up some rules that if the employee comes later than 100 minutes from the time he was supposed to come, then it will be counted as an absence for this day. Or if the employee leaves earlier than when it should, also it would be absence. And here I have if the employee does not check in or does not check out, what's going to happen? No? If I can put it like an automatic late by 60 minutes. Here, usually I put it as incomplete. No? So this day would be incomplete, calculation would not be done, and the employee would need to make a manual punch to actually complete this day, no? to make a manual check-in in order to have a calculation by day. Of course, you have the option to do it as you want. Okay. Options on the app. Okay, if I need if the app will be mandatory to send a photo. Okay, to when the employee punches. Also, if it needs to, you select the state, and if in the app would need that we put the work code. Okay, these are some options that we have for the app. I'm not going to use the app, so don't worry. Here I have also the option what happens for the alerts. The BioTime 8 sends automatic emails based on some alerts that we can configure here. Okay, I can send when the later number of late exceeds some times, then daily, for example, I would send for the first day, for every day, would send at the time I configure how many people have been late to work, for example, or if the people leave early or there are some absence. Okay, usually, here what I would do is to send it for the next day. No, so the next day sends us the report from the day before. But this is the configuration that you need. Also here, I have the possibility to create some rules specific on departments and rules specific on groups, as the groups are these groups that we have here in the setup. Okay, so I can put several specific rules for the departments if I have different set of options for each department. Okay, it's easy. Here is the actual configuration of the time and attendance. Okay, the first thing that we need to, basic things on time and attendance with BioTime 8. We need to create a timetable, a shift, and a schedule. If we don't create timetable, shift, and schedule, time and attendance would not be calculated. This is important. Okay, we need to make sure that we have these three things configured in order to have the possibility to have this configuration. Okay, so going to this, okay, going to this configuration, the first thing that we're going to do is to create the break time. For example, lunch. Okay, for example, if the people have some time, the people that work in the company have some time to lunch during the work day, we need to configure here. Because if not, if they punch to exit, then this would mean that these people have needed to come and needed to be in work, and they weren't working. No, so we need to set this break time first. So what I'm going to do is to create one lunch setting, and I can set it so this is needed to be punched. This time is needed to be punched, or is automatically deducted from the reports. Okay, this is the two options we have. I'm going to put it as punch time is required. Basic setting, well, what time does it start? I'm going to put it from 2 14. Okay, so it's 1 hour. Also here, I have the possibility, if I wanted that, well, I didn't explain before, the duplicate punch policy, the employee punches twice, what's going to happen? So if it's based on the rule, which we have in the rules also this option, so if there is a duplicate punch period, the second punch would not be taken into account, or if it, or how long. And if I want to make it mandatory that the employee actually sets a checkout and a check-in. So if I want, okay, if they want checkout, needs to select checkout. Or if I don't select it, then it will be automatic. If I put it point state based no, then it will be automatic. Maybe I just check the same without selecting nothing, and the software will know which are the states of the punch. Okay. Also here I have the, if I want to allow for multiple ins and outs, if I want to set a minimum break time, and what happens if the employee punches, in this case, before, to go back to work before 1 o'clock, okay? For example, what I would do is to set it to regular, to normal work. Or what happens if the employee punches later, so stays more than to 1 o'clock, no? For example, I would put it as late in, employee punch late, but not more, okay? Or I want to disable altogether. No, don't worry. All the time will be calculated according to the time of the punch, okay? So I created already the break. Now I'm going to create the timetable, sorry. What I'm going to do, I have the option to create a normal timetable or a flexible. The difference is that the normal timetable, I have a start time and an end time. And if I don't abide by these times, then I would have late ins, early outs, and everything. Or if I have a flexible timetable, I just need to complete some time of work, maybe 8 hours, but doesn't matter when these hours are done. Okay, I'm going to create a normal timetable. I have the check-in and check-out time. Here is important because if you have different softwares that maybe ZKTeco Enterprise or Cloud, then this is handled differently. For example, here I have a check-in start time and a check-in end time, which goes from 8 to 10, while the check-in is at 9 o'clock. This is important because if someone punches at 7:59, this punch would not be taken into account for this timetable. So we need to make sure. So if we need to put a bigger space, then we need to do it. Okay, I'm going to put it from 7. And also, well, I'm going to leave it like that. And here I have the option if I want to make it so the device ends the next day. For example, I have a night shift. The night shift starts at 10 o'clock, ends at 6 o'clock next day. So I need to put here 22 and here 6 o'clock with cross 1 day. Okay. As you can see, all cross days are settings is based on check-in. So also, well, I can do it the other way around because maybe for different types of settings of working hours or timetables, I want to make it so the time is calculated from the date the timetable starts or when the date the timetable ends. No? So in this case, I would put here -1. Usually we put it like this. Okay. So here I would select if I want the break time, okay, which I'm going to select the one that I created before. Also, what happens if the people come to work before they should or they leave after they should? I can put it, okay, so I add it to regular. Normally I would add 0 minutes because If not, they will not be taken into account. So this is a normal problem that we have already have experienced, that people don't configure this, and then what happens if they punch early or punch later than they should, and then the time is not calculated. It doesn't say, okay, why if I work 8 hours 50 minutes, why does the reports only show 8 hours? That's why, because I have not selected this, right? I'm going to put 0. So each minute of work is taken into account. Also, I have here the configuration of overtime. I can set the maximum overtime or not. And what happens with the work time. Here is important, because if I want to put several levels of overtime, which we will use, these different levels of overtime are used for the payroll module, okay? Like maybe I want to pay differently, pay more for more hours. So maybe if the person, I put it for overtime 1, from the 8th hour of work to the 10th hour of work, and I want to put it from overtime level 2, from the 10 to the 12th hour, for example, and overtime 3, level 3, from the 12th to, I don't know, 16, or I don't know, but it depends on the basic settings. Okay, so this is the configuration. Then what is important is that this work hours range is for the total of time worked. Okay, this is important, because also it's sometimes it's a question that we get many times. No, some people put 0 and 2 here and say, okay, why the calculation of the overtime is not correct? Because this would mean that the first hour of work in the day is taken into account as overtime 1. Understand? So this is important. This means about the total work in the day. And the rule setting, if I want to the clock in, if I put that is not required, the clock in, then the reports will appear based on the time the timetable starts. Okay, I usually put yes. Allow late in and allow early out are the configuration of, as I say, the time. For example, if the person start at 8:58 and should start at 9, okay, so I allow some late in. I should put this time more or less. Well, depends on the configuration, depends on the company. I will put some minutes that are allowed. And as I said here, is that applicate points policy, which is rule-based, based on the rule, and also the punch state-based. If the setting is punch state-based, if I put yes, then the employees would need to select check-in and check-out in the device. If not, then it will be selected automatically. Okay, put some name, table 1, you can see, and I have created the timetable. Next, select the shift, create the shift. Okay, what this means is that, for example, this timetable would be how for one day, what are the times in which the employee needs to come to work. The shift will mean, okay, for one timetable, which dates need to be completed. Okay, here I can select it make it for weeks. I can put it for a month. Okay, and put different for the different days of the month. And I can also put it by days. Okay, maybe the rule of the change of the shift is by 15 days. No, for example, I don't know, for a medical institution would be an example. Medical institution, maybe don't have weeks. Maybe 3 days work, 1 day off, then 2 days work. And I would do it like this. So for now, I'm going to put it as for week is normal. So I'm going to. Hey, wait, it does not appear correctly now. Even week. No, this I'm going to put it again. I need to check this. Okay, it's working again. Shift 1. Even. Also, if I have more than one timetable, I can put more than one timetable to one day. And I can also select auto shift, That would mean that I have the option that depending on the punches, one shift, one timetable or another will be selected. Okay, this would mean, for example, maybe I have this option Fridays, or some people can come later or earlier. Well, there's some flexibility in this thing. I would put how all the times of the timetables that can be done in one day, and I would add it to the different days. Okay. Also here I have also the option to set overtime, but by the shift. Here I have already done it by the timetable, so I don't need to do it here. Okay, but I have the option to do it by the shift. I'm going to confirm. And now the rest, the last thing that I have is I need to assign a schedule. Okay, so timetables, time for one day that people need to come to work. The shift for 1 week, which days this timetable needs to be completed, and the schedule for which employees have this shift. It will be the final step. Here I'm going to create it by employees. You can do it also by department groups, or do it a temporary schedule. Okay, could mean a temporary schedule without creating nothing, and you can do it from that. But I recommend here to use these 3 types. Add schedule. Okay, for this employee needs to do it this shift for starting the first day of this month until whenever. Okay, as I said, we need to put an end date, even if that shift is forever. Okay, even if that shift is forever, we need to put one day when the shift ends. Okay, so if it's forever, if it's without an end in sight, we need to put a date. It's in the future, so we don't need to have this problem. Also, I can overwrite the schedule if the employee had a previous configuration. Okay, so I'm going to confirm. Of course, I have not the configuration of the hire because I created the employee today. So I'm going to put today as when the day the schedule starts. Okay, and I have created the schedule. So now for this employee, I would have the option to check the reports. If I don't do all these 3 steps, this will not work. Okay, important. Important because when sometimes people install the software, don't know everything about the software, and they say, okay, I can see the transactions, but I cannot see the time work. If you have not done this configuration, this time of work, the work time will not appear. I have here also a schedule view and have a screen for employees. Which schedules do they have? As you can see here, I have all day off because I have not selected any shift. And also I can see it by employee. I only select for 1 day. Well, we will check this later. Well, I have here the approvals. Here I can create manual logs. Manual logs are manual punches. Okay, people have forgot to punch or need to create one punch in the software. This would be the screen that would be seen by the employee if the employee uses the self-service option. All manual punches, leave, overtime, repetitions, training, etc., need to be accepted. So if I create a manual log for employee 1, punch time today, checked in. I can put also a reason and a photograph or a file. This appears as pending of approval. So I need to approve it before it is taken into account. Another question that here arises, and it's done several times. Can we modify or delete punches that have been done previously? Answer. This can only be done for manual punches, not for punches that come from a device. Okay, if the punch comes from the device, cannot be deleted or cannot be modified from the software. It is something that sometimes many people have have asked this question. Also here the leave petitions. Here, as you can see here, I have the option to add a leave petition would mean annual leave, sick leave, that some employee does not come to. That would mean the leave. Also here I have the overtime petitions. Training would mean the people need to make a petition to attend some training. It's an option that the software have. And also here the schedule adjustment, which needs to be done by the app, by the way, and needs to be selected here. Also here I have the holiday setting. Here, for example, I have the option to add some holidays in which the people. Okay, a holiday. What is a holiday? What is the concept of holiday? The concept of holiday is that if people don't come to work this day, it would not be marked as an absence. Okay, that is the reason. Also, these holidays are added to groups or departments. Okay, need to be added by groups or departments. So this comes to use the group setting. Okay, what does that mean? Is that, for example, I have offices in Madrid and offices in another country, no? And maybe the holidays are not the same. So I need to add the holidays to each of the groups or the departments. So maybe I have a department, this technical department, and technical department have people in Spain, people in other countries. Then I would need to create a group which are the employees of one country in order to add the holidays of every country. Okay. Another thing, every year, of course, I would need to modify and create the holidays for each year. Okay, this would not be carried for each year. Okay, so each year I need to take time and create the holidays for each year. The rest of the configuration in the attendance, I will not go too much into it. Transaction report, list of transactions. Also time card. Some people at times have they punched. What are the first and last punches? I don't want to go here. As I said before, I have the possibility, have the option, install the software, install the trial version, and connect a device and start making your tests. Okay, start making your test, punch for one day, for each day, make some manual punches, and you can see how this appears in the reports. Okay, the only thing I'm going to say here is the total time card, which is the most useful, as I say, report. Why? Because it has all the options. For example, it just appears my employee because it's the only one that has the configuration done. Which are the check-in time, check-out time, when did they have clock in, clock out, the total hours worked, blah blah blah. All the configuration and the details on the punches. Okay. Also here I have the option to select different columns, move them around. Okay, if I want to move them to set it the order and everything. Also here I have the export. I can export to different types of file in order to have these reports. Okay, as I say, please, this goes out of this configuration technical webinar. But if you want, you can, of course. Well, I encourage you to do so. Actually, install the software, create some employees, and start making your configuration. Also, this is something that is quite important. If you want to, when you want to register the system or the software into one of your customers, it is highly encouraged that you speak to this customer. Say, okay, what are your schedules? What are your shifts? And then create a trial, install the trial, and test them. Okay, to see that everything works as it should. And usually everything will work, but we already know There are some companies that have some specialties in this area. So make sure that everything can configure and you know how to configure everything. Okay, on the rest of the modules, I don't want to explain too much because it goes out. I wanted to focus more on these 3 modules. But the access control setting for devices that have access control, we can set time periods in which the devices are available to punch. Okay, what means is that the default time period, as you see, it goes from Sunday to all the days. So the device is active in all times, but we can create a time period and add it to a device, so the device will not allow to be punched outside of these time periods. Okay. Also, I have the possibility to add some holidays, access holidays, okay, to the devices. The same, for some days, the device will not be available to punch. And set some configurations by groups. Okay, I can add an access group, which will mean that I have for this group several time periods, as you can see here, that I have created before. And also I have the possibility to restrict the verification mode for these groups. Okay, as you see, so before I can do it by the employees. Here I can do it by groups. Also here I have the combinations. Okay, if I want to make it so I need a person with one group and another group to be able to open one door to set a registration. And here I have also as I say, to which group belongs each employee, and if the verification is by the group and the time periods for employee. Okay, this will mean about the access control module. Next, the payroll module. As I said, here this for Europe usually we don't use this kind of software. We use special software for payroll, but this can be used, for example, to give a value for work times. Okay, so what we would do is to create this formula, okay, for each employee, and I can create one value for the work times of the employees. Okay. Also, as you can see here, I have the option to add some extra funds to add to, because I can create a report on which are the salaries of each employee. Okay. As I said here, I don't want to go into more into detail, but I can create, for example, an overtime formula, and it is okay for the pay code overtime 1, and this would be the work hours. Excuse me, plus the basic salary, whatever. Okay, I can create the formulas, which then I can put it into the payroll structure. Okay, I can put it for the employees. We have this overtime formula, which are for the exception, all the configuration that can be done. Here also we have a visitor management module. This is nearly a copy of the visitor module of enterprise. So of enterprise, no, of biosecurity. So if you watch this webinar, then you would know exactly how it works. You have the option to register a visitor, to who is visiting, which is the host, what is the access group of this host, everything. Okay, this is the option that we would use, for example, to a computer which access BioTime, which only is for entry registration. Also, we have a meeting module. The meeting module is very similar to the access control module, in which what we do is to register devices to rooms, and we create meetings, and when employees are expected to punch in those devices, then we can have an attendance report of these meetings. Okay, so what I would do, for example, if I said capacity location Madrid, and set the device. Then I can, well, as you can see, I have the device registered. I have the room to register to this device, and I can create one meeting. And for this in this device, okay, the meeting and who are the attendees, okay, to this meeting, when it starts, when it ends, and then it will create a report based on these logs that are done in these devices. Okay. Also, here is the NTD module. Okay, this will be for the devices that have temperature detection. Very easy to use. We just have a real-time monitoring, which we have here. If the device has temperature detection, then it will register the records with the temperature of each person. Also here I have a dashboard in which I have which are the daily, which are the registration that have been done with temperature, normal temperature. We have normal temperature. You can see for department by month and how many exceptions I have by month. Also here I can see the transactions. Okay, you see the transactions. If the punches do have temperature are masked, and I have the option to create a report based on these punches. Okay, and lastly, here is the system module, which I will define users for the software. As you can see, I have only the administrator. This would mean users of the software, not employees, as you can see. For example, here I can also add, create, for example, one group with a specific permissions on each of the modules to make modifications on each of the modules. And also here, when I create a user, I can set it, well, here I will create the user. If I don't put it as super user, then I can set it to which department or which area and to which group it belongs. Okay, here also I have the possibility to create a backup. Here I have the option to set the automatic backup. And also I have the option to migrate from previous versions of BioTime and several other softwares. Also I have here the automatic export of reports and attendance. This would be useful, for example, for integrators too, because maybe then we don't want to use the API, but we want just to have every day an exportation of the punches. This is what we would use. Okay, to make this so every day the transactions are exported with a format. Well, this would mean to export a report. Here in this auto export is how I would export, and the specification on the format of the export of the punches. Okay, I just want to make it so I export these punches every day to a specific path. Okay, I can do it. And several other configurations. Here I have a list of the department, the master's list, as I would say. Several other logs, and finally here I have the configuration. If I want to put a logo, if I want the settings of the email in order to send the attendance alerts. Okay, I can change the formats of how the exceptions settings are sent. Configuration to add as an Active Directory setting, etc. And this would be the end of the. Oh, sorry. This would be the end of the explanation that I wanted to make in this webinar. So, well, as I said, I hope you enjoyed this webinar, and if there is, now is the moment in which you can put your own questions, and we will try to answer them in this webinar. So if you have any questions about what I explained, okay, what is the? I can see already one question. What is the WDMS? WDMS is another software that we use that we have in ZKTeco Europe, and basically is BioTime 8 minus the configuration of the attendant. So what would that mean? It's a software that is mostly used for integrators, which would mean I have the personal device settings, and I have the API in order to extract, or the attendance extract, in order to extract the punches from the software to add them to a third-party software. For example, maybe I have a software that have the software for human resources, and I don't want to integrate the devices. Okay, then I have the option to have, it's what we call a middleware. Okay, it's a middleware. It's what we would register the devices in WDMS, and by the API, you would connect to WDMS to extract the punches. That is what WDMS is. It's a BioTime 8 without the configuration of attendance or access control and everything. It's just this is the explanation. Okay, let me see. There is another question. Hi, how do you link the email template to an event? Example: trigger an email when someone is late. This with what we do. Well, what would be done is here. Let me remember here. Well, it would not be by an event, no? For example, here I can put it, for example, here as an absence or a late in or early out. I subject, and here I would make the person, hello, the person has arrived late today, and this is what would be sent each day for when is an explanation of the when is this happens when there is a late in for one employee. Submit it, and this will be, I have not put a subject. I also can put more details here. Detail, start time, end time, whatever. Okay. This is how we would set an email template based on an exception. Well, here would be the email template, as I said. Also, I have here let me remember what it was in the rules. The attendance. Exits 0 times, then it will be sent this email. As you can see, there's another question, long one, actually. Is this a scenario possible? We run BioTime 8 customize. We have two servers located at two different locations on the same network with different class of IPs. One server is the production located in Accra, and the other server is the disaster recovery in the BioTime controller console. Can we connect the host IP address of the disaster recovery database using the production IP address? So that all production data will be in the DR server and also be backup in the DR server as well. Okay, let me read again. Well, as I think, the problem I can see here is that the devices can only be connected to one server, cannot be connected to both servers, than to send the punches to two servers at the same time. The only thing that I can think of is that you have maybe a separate web server or separate application that does this communication of I don't know, of the data of the terminals. So, or maybe via the API, or well, as you say, the BioTime 8 is customized. And I suppose the customization can support this. The only thing, the problem I can see is that what happens if that you have the production server located in Accra, as you say, and this production server goes down, then manually you will need to go to the devices to connect them to the disaster recovery server. Or, well, using the production IP address. Well, if the server goes down, if the production server goes down, and then the disaster recovery they automatically changes so its IP address is the same as the production server, I don't see any problem. The only thing maybe is how the data will be transferred from one server to the other one. And in this scenario, then maybe some kind of process in the background needs to be running, so these two servers are synchronized automatically. But as I see, maybe if the BioTime 8 is customized, then I suppose the customization can support this, but it depends on the customization. Is it possible to integrate other ERP like Zoho with BioTime? Well, I don't know how the integration of Zoho works, but you have the API of BioTime 8. As you can see here, let me go back again. The API. Here I have the endpoints. Okay. If what I just want is to extract the transactions, then I can do it like this. If the ERP of Zoho connects to this API and extracts the punches, then I suppose there is no problem. Where we fetch the attendance report? We fetch, well, as I said here, the reports are here. Daily report, I use work time card. If I want, you just want worked, if someday the people has work or not, maybe you can use the weekly report or the monthly report. Monthly status have for each day if this person has come or not to work. Okay. Another question: is it possible to have counter overtime number of paid holidays of BioTime 8? Unfortunately, this is not possible by default with BioTime. What you mean is like to have like an accrual of paid holidays. So if every time someone selects that one day to have it for leave, for those who come to work, then this date is subtracted from the total of days work. Unfortunately, we cannot do this. Okay, we don't have this option in BioTime 8. BioTime 8, what we can do is to see how many days have been selected, what will be a counter, but will be added. We don't have an option to subtract this and to okay, you cannot to say okay, you cannot select more days for leave. Okay, this is we cannot do. But if I want to say okay, here in the leave report, I would see how many days have been selected by employee, by annual leave, sick leave, but we cannot make these accruals. Is it possible to integrate other? Well, I already answered with this question. With ZDNS, well, I suppose then say thank you. So I suppose it is answer your question. So we cannot monitor overtime in a balance. We need to have a report to see it. Well, as you can see here, a report will be on screen. If I select, if I put for one approval of leave, let me do something else first. let me put, so the employee was hired before. And now I'm going to and I'm going to approve. And just to make sure, I'm going to recalculate. And now 12. Well, supposedly because the dates that do not have any records count as annual leave, but they are added automatically. Okay, as you can see, but we can see it on the screen and we can export it as a report. Okay, this would have the amount of leave, we have it in the screen, or we can export it. Does the visitor management module connect with a new range of ZK products with QR code for visitor management? Well, if you mean that a QR code, well, let me tell you something. The QR code, when registered to an employee, it is like the card. Okay, it works like the card, like the registration of the card, of the RFID card. So of course, if I have a QR code, well, if I have a QR code and this is registered as a card, okay, then I can use a QR code, because, for example, here in the visitor, I have here the card number. Okay, what I don't have is the automatic generation of the QR code. Okay? But if I use an external application or an external website to create a number, for example, I put QR. Okay? If I put this QR as a card number, then if I send this QR to the phone and show in the device that supports the QR code, it will be allowed to enter in. So question, answer, yes, it's supported like this. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so I suppose there are how to schedule shift for BioTime and how to calculate by overtime. To schedule shift for BioTime, well, schedule shift, I already did it, no? If I do it, for example, well, schedule a shift here, well, okay, and I will have the schedule done, starts 9 until 6, and I have in the shift, I have already set it, and I'm going to put one overtime from 8 hours, 8 hours to 10 hours, I put it to normal overtime. Okay, now so it's assigned this shift. What we are going to do is to make some manual punches accordingly. So I'm going to make an approval. Well, this one I'm going to leave it like this, but I'm going to put another one, for example, for yesterday. Set time. Nine. Another one. Same date. Or 1 hour more. As a checkout. Approve both. Okay, and now I'm going to recalculate just in case. And now here in the total time card, well, I have 10 hours. Where did I put it wrong? Surely it's some problem with the timetable or something. I'm going to put it the same way. No, but it was a schedule. Well, I don't want to go much into detail, but it could be some kind of calculation problem that I have not set correctly. But this is how you would record the overtime. Well, here I can see. Well, it's set as a weekend. Maybe it's not configured correctly. The work time as it's calculated as weekend overtime. We shouldn't be calculating as weekend overtime when it's not a weekend. What does the meeting feature of BioTime entail? Well, as I said, the meeting is to register employee devices to rooms, and then this device controls one room. I set a meeting. So when I register one employee, that is this employee needs to attend this meeting. Then, based on the punches done to this device, then work time and attendance time will be calculated. This is the meaning of the meeting. Could you show us the auto clock in, clock out in the shift rules? In the manual, punch state based. It says punch state based. Let me remember where it was. No and yes. Yes, of course. No means, well, I don't know how it appears in the manual. Maybe the manual was from some other version and it has not been updated. But if I select it as no, I put it as no, then it will be we mean auto clock in, clock out. It wouldn't matter if all the punches are registered without selecting clock in or clock out. All will be calculated. It will be corrected. It will be automatically corrected. So first is a clock in, second is a clock out, then clock in, and like that. If I put it on yes, okay, then I need to select clock in or clock out. This is how it works. Other questions? I was late, sorry, to the webinar. Could you show a bit of workflow? Don't worry, we can repeat. Don't worry, no problem. Also, as I said, this webinar will be available to watch when you want. It will be in the usual channels. You have the YouTube channel of ZKTeco Europe. All webinars, customer webinars like this one, will be available there. We will go again to this part. Okay, you can see here how the workflow. I have two settings: workflow role and workflow builder. In workflow role, I will define the several roles. Would mean I have defined, for example, who is a manager, who is the different levels, but I will not set which are how the levels work. Understand? So how the levels are, which one is the first level, which one is the second level. I will not do this. I would just create which are the roles. For example, here I have selected one role, which is manager, and have created the second role, which is CEO. Okay. Then what I want to do is to set that when I create a manual log or a manual punch, first needs to be accepted by the manager, and next will need to be accepted by the CEO. okay? Because this is how the workflow setting works, okay? I have all the types of petitions, meaning leave, manual log, training, blah, 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 all. I want that who needs to accept in which order. You understand, no? So, and what I did is that I assigned one employee, which already selected, to this role manager, and another employee, to this role CEO. Okay. Once I have I'm going to delete it, so I'm going to create it again. Once I have the roles, I need to go to the builder to actually create how is the flow, no? Who needs to accept first, who needs to accept second, and so on. I can do it by department, by positions, or by employees. Okay. Now I'm going to do it by department. Before I did it for employees. Code 1, manual logs. Content type for manual logs, or for meeting manual log. I also have the option because I have configured meeting. Don't worry. Department for the whole department. From when? From until when? As I say, I need to put an end date, even if this is forever. Workflow setup. First level. From my own department, so meaning that in the department, so all the petitions from that department will also only go for the same department as I belong to. Go first to the manager. And who is the notifier? Or who is notified? Same manager. Okay, I can put it in different way. Always the approver is also a notifier, but maybe I want to select one kind of employees that are only notified, but do not have the option to accept or not. So I have the first level. Second level, click add, adds a second level. In this case, no, all, because all the employees need to go to this, need all the employees from all the departments go to the CEO. I'm going to do. Okay, so I created the role. So first, from when I create, I belong to one department. If I create a manual log, it will appear this petition to the person that has the manager role, the manager workflow role of the same department. Okay, and if that manager accepts the petition, which appears here, as you can see here, that you have applications, it will go this petition to the CEO, but the CEO will receive petitions from all the employees. Okay, so the CEO will need to accept or reject the petition, and if it accepts, there are no more levels, the petition is accepted, and if the petition is rejected, then it's rejected. Okay, this is the workflow setting, how it works. Okay, is this useful? Yes. So also, well, more or less, more than anything, for companies that have a large number of employees. Because if you have a low number of employees, the option is clear. No, we can, as an administrator, like I am now in this software, I can accept or deny any petition. No more questions. Then, well, as I said, thank you for attending this technical webinar. I hope it has been useful to everybody. As I said, you will have this webinar available in the usual channels. And well, thank you for all to attend this is the last webinar that we need to do in English. And we expect that you have any question, you forward it to us, to our sales personnel or to the technical departments. And great, thank you, thank you for what you say. So well, let's finish this webinar. And well, as I said, thank you for attending, and I hope that you come into new webinars that we have in the future. See you.